All right.
What's up, suppers? It is Dimes, Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. Welcome to the Suit Up Podcast. The Suit Up Podcast can be found on iTunes and Spotify. Subscribe, hit those 5 stars. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button below. Joining us today is one of my longest best friends. He is Ryan. Follow him on Twitter at Renegade_H. On tap for today, we are going to talk about our top 5 best moments and top takes of Season 7 of the Clone Wars. Ryan and I are just going to talk about it and react. Ryan, are you ready to suit up?
I'm ready to suit up.
Let's suit up. All right, guys, we are back. Ryan, how long have we known each other?
Well, I'd say, like, in general, I think junior year of high school, maybe before that. I'm not quite sure, but I think especially junior to senior year of high school, so 02, 03-ish.
Okay. And I gotta let everyone know here, Ryan was the first one to let me know that, yo, you gotta watch this show, man. It was Star Wars, The Clone Wars, and Rebels, because I'm late to the show. I first watched Rebels, then I got into the Clone Wars. Give you all the credit, man.
Well, I appreciate that credit. It's something that I let my nerd out, to very few people. And obviously you let your nerd flag fly very, very high. So I could trust you.
All right. So on tap for today, we just finished the 4-episode first arc of Season 7 of the Clone Wars. I'm kind of going to give you my top 5 takes, my top 5 favorite moments. I'm going to give you some negatives of what I don't like about the show. But starting off, make sure you check out all my reviews at thepainalliance.com and check out Suit Up on Twitter at SuitUpTPL. Ryan, let's start off with my top takes. My number 1 take, and we talked about this before we started podcasting here, is that the clones have taken center stage to lead off Season 7. Not the Jedi, not the Sith, man. The biggest takeaway I have so far this season is that the clones have taken center stage. And I'm not saying Anakin didn't, steal the show, because we saw the Force push. We're going to get into that in a little bit when we talk about our favorite moments. But the clones here, man, are they not the hobbits of the Star Wars universe, man? In the words of Aragorn, you bow to no one, because Captain Rex, the Bad Batch, man, these guys have been so memorable so far this season. Captain Rex's arc, the introduction of the Bad Batch, you really look at this first arc of the Season 7, man, it's all about the clones.
Well, I think the introduction to the Bad Batch really enabled them to say, hey, the clones just aren't, these soldiers that were created for, the Jedi to use. They were Jedi to use. They were really there for, their people. We're kind of almost humanizing the clones, in this season, where the Bad Batch have their rebels, where they can go off and now, just not be stand in line, take orders. They do their own thing, and we call them in as mercenaries. That's a really interesting take that they've done.
It's really cool, man. Like to individualize clones. We're going to get into that a little bit further pretty soon. But I just love how the arc of the first part of this season went from Echo and Rex to really this whole point of the season was the Bad Batch. Would you watch a live action version of the Bad Batch?
I think there are other things in the stepping line I want to see first, but yes, I think I'd love to see them included into an overall arc of a Star Wars live action. Sure.
Really, really good stuff. Let's go into my number 2 take of Season 7 so far, and it's the animation. It's the tone. They are both so fucking pitch perfect. We saw from the jump, Episode 1, titled The Bad Batch, which was directed by Dave Filoni, the man. But first things first, the animation is gorgeous in this show. It really sets the standard for Star Wars animation. And in that Episode 1, you saw the scene of where the Bad Batch are taking down hundreds of droids in that droid army. It's just beautiful, beautiful stuff. And the tone of Season 7 couldn't be more perfect. It's just a heavy amount of foreshadowing through the first 4 episodes. It's just both beautiful and tragic. It's really setting up, I think, Anakin nicely. We're going to get into that a little bit. Any reaction to the animation and the tone of so far this season, man?
Well, I think that's the one thing the entire series has given me throughout the 7 seasons is the fact that the animation is always on point. I can't remember a season where I haven't enjoyed just watching the arc of all the characters and all the story plots. And even this season, when we talk about Anakin and his slow progression into, what we know what's going to happen, they didn't shove it down our throat yet, which is really, really great. They've showed us some passion with
Mm-hmm.
Padme,
Mm-hmm.
so you have a little bit of the passion, and then they showed us a little bit of the dark side when he went after Trench, and that's something that as a fan. Let's buckle up. Let's suit up.
We're gonna really get into that pretty soon. My number three take of this season so far is I've really loved what they've done between the similarities of Captain Rex and Anakin. It's been so much fun. I wish it could be further explored. I don't know how much it's going to be further explored because there's a lot of different avenues this season's going to go, I think. But you have this Captain Rex, man. He's just like this hot-headed, creative, strong leader. He leads by example. He rushes headstrong into battles. Meanwhile, he's also cool, unorthodox. He will often disobey orders. I love the parallels between Anakin and Captain Rex. And this season so far has given us, Anakin giving kind of like anger management advice to Captain Rex. I think it was episode 3. I could be wrong there. But I love that dynamic. I love how they individualize the clones and they make, especially the Bad Batch, all these different unique personalities.
Well, I think you have Anakin respecting Rex.
Mm-hmm.
Just because he's not human, quote unquote, doesn't mean that he doesn't have the respect of Anakin. And you saw it within this last episode when a lot of the Bad Batch were like, "Yo, well, we can't trust Echo yet," and then Anakin goes, "I trust Rex and his judgment." So you have someone like Anakin who's showing the respect for a commander in an army that maybe he didn't ask for, but he has.
Yeah, just like I said before, man. The clones have certainly earned their right. Captain Rex is a general through and through. He's just like maverick guy that really kind of is a daredevil, just like Anakin. And in some respects, Captain Rex is almost a little more human, a little more team friendly, a little more caring about his squad than Anakin is. And I just find that dynamic so interesting. None of this was touched in Attack of the Clones, and I just really respect it.
But
Uh,
but Anakin should not have any attachment to anybody. And that's the problem with Rex does. He has attachment to his brothers. Anakin doesn't have really anyone to be attached to because the Jedi aren't supposed to really be attached to anything.
and my
That's why he
number,
was hiding Padme from Obi-Wan.
totally,
Obi-Wan knows what's going on, but he's hiding Padme from him because he knows a emotional attachment is a weakness to the Jedi.
totally right, totally right. My number 4 take so far this season is just how far Star Wars Rebels and the Clone Wars have lapped the film franchises in terms of character development, storytelling. We've seen this through and through so far this season. The banter, the camaraderie between the Bad Batch, the concept of the clones having their unique personalities, meshing between all these different characters. It's just such an interesting story, and it's just another reminder that the Star Wars films just need to be better.
It's really hard to go from animated to live action. I mean, you look at what Disney's been doing with all of the new remakes of the cartoons that we grew up and loved. It's impossible. I mean, Lion King was an unmitigated disaster, in my opinion, because they had no emotion.
Yep.
You don't have Timba and Pumbaa, doing their emotional, because that's an animated thing that you can do. Same for Star Wars. They work so well because you can do things outside of a human in these gander a reaction. I still think they should do live action and streamline into maybe like a Rebels type scenario, or they should go back to I think they are doing the Old Republic.
Mm-hmm.
Are they starting out with the Old Republic?
No, They decided to go with High Republic, which we did a podcast earlier with our co-host Jack, and I was very disappointed that they didn't do the Old Republic because obviously Darth Revan. There's so
Yeah,
much there. There's so much there
sure.
to use. But
So
I go ahead.
no, there's. I mean, that's a main storyline. Not many people know. I mean, Dark Revan is, and he goes from the light to the dark, back to the
Mhm.
light to getting back to the dark. I mean, that's a plot. You can name that entire series Darth Revan, light. Next one, Darth Revan, dark. And like really just tease, oh my God, he's going to go bonkers against the Jedi this time around.
Totally.
Um, I mean, I trust Dave Filoni.
Dave Filoni.
And as long as Kathleen Kennedy's out of there, I didn't like her viewpoints at all for what she needed for the Star Wars series. So I mean, we'll see what happens. Mandalorian was great, but live action is not, in my opinion, as good as animated in plotting. I mean, with the DCEU,
Yeah.
Son of Batman,
Yeah.
Bad Blood, all that is gold to me.
I fully agree. And hopefully, we saw that teaser, spoiler warning, of the dark saber at the end of Mandalorian season 1. That's a little tie-in to Clone Wars. That's a tie-in to Star Wars Rebels. Hopefully there's some sort of like, overarching, mesh there that's beginning to form. That would be so great. And my last top take of the first 4 episodes of the Clone Wars is how much better is Clone Wars Anakin compared to movie Anakin? The Clone Wars Anakin is so much better. Like in the show, Anakin is just like wise, he's compassionate, he's a leader. In the films, Anakin like is just none of those qualities, man. It's just
He was
amazing.
emotional.
He's not.
He was too
He's a
emotional.
whiny bitch, and I can't stop laughing at how good Anakin is, and we're gonna get into the top moments of this season very soon after this, because there's one of them here. But man, that episode 4 moment of Anakin touching the dark side, that had more emotion to it than anything I saw in the first 3 episodes.
Yeah, we'll see what happens going here on out. But I think the story plot from here on out is now going to be Anakin and his progression, and what happens with Ahsoka Tano and Obi-Wan, and that just whole thing. So
Yeah, I came into Rebels and Clone Wars late, and I have been, Team Ahsoka Tano, I think for the last like at least 12 months. Like that
she's
character,
badass.
just an amazing character. Oh man, that was in my last review, man. I was like, I've got a fever, and the only prescription is more Ahsoka Tano because everything. If I had to like honestly guess, my gut feeling is that Dave Filoni knows, what fucking sells tickets, and that is that tease in the trailer of Ahsoka Tano versus Darth Maul. You know he's going to save that for the end, right?
Sure. I mean, if you want to do a live action, if you do a live action Ahsoka Tano versus Darth Maul, you're going to get overwhelming support by the nerds and by, even females who would love to see a badass woman with a double white lightsaber go at it. I mean, that's insanely cool.
Yeah, talk about 2 characters that they have absolutely crushed. The Darth Maul
Yeah,
personality, the character traits versus Ahsoka Tano. I mean, and we could even talk about Ahsoka Tano and Anakin because they're
sure.
regardless. Ahsoka Tano is hands down one of the best characters in this animated verse of Star Wars. So those are my top 5 takes. Let's go into my top 5 moments. Number 1, I got to start off with the quote that led off episode 1 of the Clone Wars of this season. It was embrace others for their differences, for that makes you whole. There's a lot of shit going on with the coronavirus. We're all got to stick together. And that was kind of the vibe I got from this quote is that there's nothing more divisive than Star Wars right now. You had the Rise of Skywalker, you had The Last Jedi, you had The Force Awakens. None of that meshed. There is so much love and hate going on between, especially The Last Jedi and the Rise of Skywalker. I think you saw the Rise of Skywalker with me, right? You were in.
I did.
You actually participated in our review. I can't believe I just
I
forgot
did.
that. But I mean, there's this like animosity between the film franchises right now. It's stale. The Skywalker saga. Whether you like the Rise of Skywalker or not, it was hit or miss. I didn't like it. Did you like it?
Second time around, it was less corny because I got all the laughing through, the corniness the first time around. And I watched it with you, and I was like, I mean, I could watch this. But yes, it was very corny. The issue with these three movies was it did not mesh.
Right.
They killed the series, and then they tried to like backtrack it, and later on saying, "Oh yeah, what did they say recently? They said something about Rey's parents, or Rey is, Palpatine's daughter or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. I mean, they did some really shady shit to just kind of mesh it all together, and it's just like, you know what? I don't. This is why you cannot compete with Marvel, because Disney. Well, here's why: Disney rushed everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Marvel did it perfectly because they had their own studio, and they could have one person, Kevin Feige, who could make the calls. And DC tried to do it, Disney tried to do it, and they can't do it.
Yeah. I
If
mean,
you're going to create a world, you need to be patient. Don't jam it down our throat.
and that's the truth, is that there's only one Kevin Feige. Zack Snyder. I'm a huge Zack Snyder guy. He ain't it. The good news is Kevin.
Release the cut.
Release the Snyder cut.
Release the release it.
The good news is Kevin Feige is actually now the president, I think, of Star Wars. So all decision making
Good.
will be running through Kevin Feige moving forward.
And his first one was the Mandalorian, and it went well.
And they're going with the High Republic, which, although I disagree, I would like the Old Republic. I respect the fact that they're going with a time period where no one knows anything about. It's going to be fresh. I give respect to that. That could be something that is a little underrated, because everyone wants the Old Republic, but we'll see what the High Republic gives us. That's my number one best moment. My number two best moment is the Anakin force push during that droid tripod in episode 2. We see Anakin and his team escape to a local village on Skako Minor, and there's the droid army, and we were introduced to this like droid tripod that I thought looked eerily similar to something we saw in War of the Worlds. It was basically the same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
It's essentially a droid version of the ATST, but we saw Anakin do the force push, jump off the droid tripod and force push it over. That was a pretty badass moment. That was like one of the best Star Wars badass moments since Mando took down that TIE fighter in the last episode of The Mandalorian, man. That was a pretty badass moment.
And it continues to show the progression of Anakin, and now this next episode, I think we're going to get is going to be very interesting, because I think at the end of episode 4, correct me if I'm wrong, the band of was it bad? What are they called again?
The Bad Batch.
The Bad Batch. I think we made farewell to them. I think they're going off to do their own thing, so I don't expect to see them back. I think that chapter is, done.
I agree.
Now it's into the guts of things. Let's really start to get in the guts of it, and I think we're going to see episode 5 really take off.
And that leads us right into my number 3 best moment, which is Anakin's Rage in episode 4, Unfinished Business. Let's talk about the highlight of the last episode. And that's when we finally get our glimpse of Anakin Skywalker touching the dark side. He's all dressed in black. He takes down Tambor, and that was just one of the moments where we're all waiting for it. This whole season so far is this touch of beauty and tragedy, and we'll get into Padme in a little bit because that's coming up. But I just love this scene because we're all waiting for it, man. Sorry, not Tambor, Admiral Trench, my bad. But this is, like you said, Ryan, this is the appetizer of the rest of the season. And I was so excited to see a taste of Anakin, as we get moving on to Order 66.
I think you remember Admiral Trench was saying, "You can't do anything to me. You're a Jedi." You know, he goes, "You know what? I don't abide by the Jedi rules."
Yeah.
And he was basically like, "This is the bad guy. Boom. I don't really have the moral aspect, the rule bearing. I'm a rebel. I'm a renegade."
Oh man, it was so good. My number 4 favorite moment of this season so far has to be Wrecker. Wrecker is easily my favorite kind of Clone Wars side character so far this season. Episode 3, hands down solidified Wrecker as my favorite member of Clone Force 99, part of the Bad Batch. He rips off a droid's face. He throws each member of his team to an above escape route, and then like is panicking because he's terrified of heights during the next scene. Just a hilarious character. He had pretty much all the best moments of the Bad Batch in the first arc. He had in the last episode, he was wanted to just blow something up. Do you remember that, man?
Yeah.
He's just awesome.
I think every single group like that has that big burly, just strength guy, and you look back with Guardians of the Galaxy, Drax, and you look at the X-Men who have Colossus, and there's always at least one of them. But honestly, my personal favorite is the techie, the guy
Okay.
who just goes under and gets shit done, and he's someone who you know may not be able to lift the entire rock up, but he's gonna be able to get you through a. I like the techie guy.
I mean, and then like we didn't even touch on like Hunter, who looked like a younger version of Rambo. The team is
Yeah,
essentially Suicide Squad, right?
in a way.
Just awesome stuff. And then my fifth favorite moment of this season was the Echo and the Captain Rex dynamic. That cliffhanger at the end of episode 3 was really exciting. I thought, where do Echo's loyalties lie was kind of the biggest question mark at the end of episode 3. One of that top moments was when we kind of had to like think about, is Echo like some sort of like secret agent working for Admiral Trench? I was hoping for a kind of Bucky versus Steve Rogers Winter Soldier moment. I thought for sure that those two were going to go one-on-one in that last episode, being like controlled or something by Admiral Trench. It didn't happen. Whatever. It doesn't matter. But anyway, it was just an exciting moment.
Yeah, I mean, Echo is has deep meaning to Rex, and that's something where he was going after him no matter who gave the order. I think if Anakin would have said, "You're not going," he was going. So Anakin recognized the brotherhood there, and he joined in, and he trusted him, and now you have Echo back, who has strong ties to the Empire, and the Empire, yeah,
Yep.
strong ties to what's going on.
And that kind of leads into my two negatives of this season so far. Is it played a little too safe with Rex and Echo. If there are any complaints here, it's that it just was a little too safe. The last 2 episodes, we barely saw Echo and Rex interact, explore that dynamic that we've grown up with the Clone Wars and previous seasons. Like the send off was really effective. It was emotional. I enjoyed it. Was it too safe? Probably. What did you think?
I mean, what's the opposite of it? That Echo and Rex go against each other, and you have this dynamic where it tears Rex apart.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could have done that. I don't. We'll have to see what Episode 5 brings to clear it up. How effective is Echo going to be out in the battlefield? Is he going to be a liability? He's still weak. He may mentally be strong, but he may be a liability down the road.
We'll see. And then my last negative, we touched on it a little bit beforehand, but it was wake up, Anakin. Watching Padme hold her stomach with both arms during episode 2 while talking to Anakin, man. I know Anakin never knew about the pregnancy, and Padme kept it hidden throughout, Attack of the Clones. But man, That whole scene, I was like thinking, wait a minute, she's literally holding her stomach, and it's complete. And Anakin is completely oblivious to what's going on. I guess it just shows you like just how messed up emotionally and confused Anakin was during this time.
Do you think he doesn't know she's pregnant?
Yeah, I think he's.
Do you think she doesn't know? He doesn't know at all.
I don't think he knows at all.
My big question was when I saw that was how far along is she?
Yeah, true.
We know in the series that she dies when she gives birth. So are we getting up to the point that Obi-Wan and Anakin break off and Padme dies and Luke and Leia are born?
I really
that
hope
would be
so.
interesting to me.
I really hope so. I definitely think we're going to see really like right before what happens before Order 66. We didn't even touch Mandalore. We didn't even touch Ahsoka Tano. We didn't touch Bo-Katan. Like there's a lot more in this season that we haven't touched yet for the next arc. Hopefully it's Ahsoka. I think it's going to be the one after that. I think we're going to start exploring Mandalore coming up here. If you had to give it out of 10, 10 being amazing, how would you grade the first 4 episodes of the Clone Wars season 7?
I'd go 8. I'd give a solid 8. I mean, nothing like super wowed me quite yet. I think they're building up right now, and it's hard to grade it on 4 episodes, knowing that they're establishing the arc of the Clone Wars of the clones, Anakin introducing back Obi-Wan and maybe some conflicts there by saying, "Hey, you're talking to Padme. I know you're talking to Padme. Tell her I said hello." So there is slowly going to be something there that they have to kind of fight through. The emotional aspect of life, and that's a lot of what the episodes have been. Life, Rex, Echo, Anakin, Padme, the loss of Ahsoka Tano, his Padawan. That's we'll see what happens when she comes back.
I could not agree anymore. I'm right around that 8 range. I think all of my reviews were in that like 8.2, 7.8. Nothing amazing, but they've all been really, really good. So make sure you check those out. All those reviews are at thepainalines.com. Make sure you check out the Suit Up Podcast on Twitter at SuitUpTPL. We're on iTunes and Spotify. Smash those 5 stars, leave a review, whatever you want to do, man. And check out Ryan on Twitter at renegade_H. Any last comments, man?
Let's get ready for an exciting season of the Clone Wars, the final season of the Clone Wars, and see where Kevin Feige and Dave Filoni can bring us and bring our imaginations and bring what we want, because they may be doing High Republic next. I guarantee you they're going to start to think about Old Republic soon too.
They have to.
I mean, maybe this is the first 3. They have to. It's such a, for people who don't know Darth Revan, it's like such a badass. He's one of the top, Jedi and Sith.
Yeah.
So you have to introduce him at some point for not only just the fanboys, but for people who want someone else to be like, oh my gosh, it's not just Vader. It's someone else that's like really cool. So we'll see.
For a franchise that's focused so much on dark versus light, like you have what makes Darth Revan so fucking cool is that he can harness both Jedi and Sith powers at once. Like how translating that to the big screen would be so epic, man. That realization that he's got the electric powers and he's doing force healing and like all that, like that would be freaking cool. Make sure you check out everything Star Wars, the Clone Wars at thepainalines.com. For Ryan, for myself, thanks for watching, guys. Stay awesome.
Suit up.